Let's now face the facts. 2 years ago, Kenya witnessed one of the most defining moments in its democratic history. More than 60 young Kenyans lost their lives during the Gen Z protest of 2024. Families were shattered, dreams were cut short. Blood was spilled on the streets and even within the precincts of Parliament as young people demanded accountability from those entrusted with power. As Gen Z marked the second anniversary of that movement, one question hangs heavily over the country. Has President William Ruto's government honored the promises and lessons that emerged from those protests? Or has it abandoned the ideals that young Kenyans died defending? In this week's edition of Face the Facts, our reporter Herman Kamariki asks a simple but uncomfortable question. Was the sacrifice of Gen Z remembered, or was it ignored?
Welcome to Face the Facts. Let's begin with a message posted online by a young Kenyan known as Kaiser Chief just hours before Thursday's Gen Z commemorations. He wrote, and I quote, "There is only one question. Have you done what we agreed on? And what you're doing now, is that what we agreed on?" In Swahili, kile tulisema umefanya na kile unafanya, je, tulielewana? Perhaps no question better captures the mood of a generation that feels unheard, betrayed, and increasingly frustrated. Mr. President, before dismissing young people as impatient, misinformed, or manipulated, perhaps this is the question that deserves an answer. Have you done what Kenyans expected you to do? And are your actions today consistent with the promises made when the country was on fire in June 2024? Mr. President, the young people who filled the streets were not carrying weapons. They carried flags, mobile phones, and hope. Listen to how this mother cried during the commemoration. They were demanding a government that listens. One of their biggest complaints was that Parliament had become an extension of the executive rather than the voice of the people. At the time, lawmakers openly declared that the finance bill would pass no matter what Kenyans said. Citizens petitioned, experts warned, young people protested. Parliament proceeded anyway. 2 years later, President, many young Kenyans are asking whether their elected representatives work for the votes they received from the voters or for the state. That is the president. Mr. President, is this what they fought for? The Gen Z movement also challenged what it viewed as reckless government spending. Young people questioned why billions could be spent on foreign travel while millions of Kenyans struggle to put food on the table. Yet today, Mr. President, your foreign trips continue to attract scrutiny. Critics still refer to you as flying president. Ironically, you personally promised to reduce unnecessary spending and limit non-essential travel. Listen to yourself.
Operational expenditure in the presidency be reduced to remove allocations for the confidential vote, reduce travel.
Mr. President, have those promises been honored, or were they simply words designed to calm a restless nation? The youth also spoke forcefully against the culture of politicians arriving at churches and public gatherings carrying millions of shillings in cash. They demanded transparency. Where does this money come from? They wanted leaders to explain the source of their wealth instead of turning public events into competitions of generosity.
No state officer or public servant shall participate in public contributions or harambees going forward.
At the height of the protest, your administration appeared to acknowledge those concerns. That is in 2024. Yet today, church fundraisers continue. President, you are among those who do this. Political allies continue to donate millions. Questions continue to be asked. Answers remain very scarce. Mr. President, is this the transparency Gen Z demanded for? Perhaps the most painful issue raised by young people was the question of police brutality. Enforced disappearance and extrajudicial killings. Now tell me why 355 Kenyans have been arrested, including Bomjagi. They wanted a country where expressing an opinion would not become a security risk. They wanted a nation where citizens would not disappear after criticizing those in power, like we do here at the Standard. The Gen Z movement also rejected excessive spending on government institutions, while ordinary citizens struggled with high taxes, expensive fuel, and the rising cost of living. Today, Mr. President, State House allocations continue to grow. You actually tripled it. Taxes remain a burden. Fuel prices remain a source of frustration. The cost of living remains one of the biggest concerns for millions of households in Kenya. Because if the same complaints that drove young people into the streets in the 2024 remain unsolved in 2026, then Kenyans are entitled to ask whether those sacrifices produced meaningful reform. Finally, Mr. President, many Kenyans remember your repeated commitment to media freedom. Who is this?
We must defend the free media. We must defend their right to criticize, to say whatever it is that they want to say, even to write propaganda, even to say the wrong things, even to write falsehood.
Mr. President, democracy is not tested when journalists praise government. It is tested when they question the government. The Gen Z generation demanded accountability. They demanded transparency. They demanded honesty. And above all, they demanded leaders who listen. 2 years later, the question remains exactly as Kaizer Chief asked it. Have you done what we agreed on? And what you're doing now, is that what we agreed on? And the truth remains my only friend. This is First the Facts. Special greetings to the residents of Goria Village in Teso North constituency, Busia County. My name is Haman Kamariki, and I hope, Mr. President, you listen to what the youth want you to do.
Haman Kamariki.